Hey everyone, it's Sam from Samantha's Doodles. In this video, I will be showing you how I made this beach scene resin painting, including how to get that really cool lacing effect that I know a lot of people have been asking about. If you want to see how I made this piece, then keep on watching. As always, I will provide links to all of my materials in the description box below, so if you want to follow along at home, you know exactly which items I purchased. Unfortunately, I had some problems with my phone and it didn't save the video of me actually mixing the resin, but I'm going to link here to my last ocean video. You'll want to go to about 2 minutes and 40 seconds and it's going to show you exactly how I mix the colors. Focus on the dark blue, the dark turquoise, and then the medium blue. And then once you have your resin and your colors mixed, you can just jump right into the pouring. So I'm just going to do a real-time video and show you all of the steps. I'm using a 10-inch silicone baking pan and I'm just starting by pouring some of my clear untinted resin on that left side. It's not really an exact amount, I just kind of estimated about a third of the way across. And now I'm just heating it with my heat gun to pop some bubbles, and then I'm going to take my sand. I actually just brought this home from the beach and I'm going to fill that section with the sand. Later on I will saturate it a little bit more to make sure that it's all inside the resin, but to start with I am just pouring it into that puddle and just making sure that it's thick and that there are no empty spaces. One thing that is important for me to mention here is that when you put sand into resin, it's going to get wet. So it's not going to dry looking like this fluffy, warm colored substance that I'm using right now. It's going to be that deeper, darker brown. It's going to look exactly like sand does when it gets wet. So it's just something that you need to prepare yourself for. It's going to sink into that resin and it's just going to get darker. You're still going to be able to see the sand crystals, but it is not going to be the dry sand version. So I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page about that. I like that look. It was kind of what I was going for, but it definitely is a little bit different from the way it looks right now. So I just wanted to be sure that I mentioned that. So now you can just see I'm cleaning up a little bit. I did make a bit of a mess while pouring the sand into the pan, but it is easy enough to clean it up. So then I'm going to go in with my dark blue. If you watched the other video that I linked showing you how to mix these, it's that deep blue acrylic paint and that metal flake that's called Bluegasm. They will be linked in the description below. But it makes a really beautiful, deep cerulean color, and I love it. So I'm just using that to do the top part of my wave, and then I'm going to go in as a gradient with the other two colors. So the next one is going to be that deep turquoise, and then it's going to be that kind of sky blue color. So again, this is just acrylic paint mixed with that metal flake. The metal flake used in this is called Mary Jane, and I also used just some regular craft glitter, and it made a really beautiful deep turquoise color. I also added silicone into all three of these mixtures. You can see where the two colors are touching, how they start to interact because of that silicone, and now I'm adding that sky blue robin's egg color, and it is also starting to show how those colors are interacting with each other because of that silicone. So for me, that's an important step to get that lacing effect. I know some people don't like to work with silicone, but I do think that it's crucial to get the effect that I was going for. Here I'm just adding in some more of the clear resin over top of the sand and at the very edge of that light blue, so that it gives a cool blended effect as if the water was going on top of the shore. So I'm just going to saturate all of that sand and make sure that it is encased in the resin. Like I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a dark color, but it is just going to make sure that all of that sand is held in the resin layer. Here I'm just taking more of that clear, not tinted resin, and I am just finishing up getting all of those grains of sand covered, and then I'm pouring a little bit of the clear into my blues, just in hopes that it'll help with that lacing effect. Next step is to go in with my 3 different shades of blue and just drizzle a little bit more of that resin into the other colors, so to kind of extend the gradient and make it a more gradual transition. I'm just taking little bits and overlapping those colors on each other, and then once I take my heat gun, it is going to help blend those colors and feather everything out and develop that lacing and cell look that I was going for. So one thing to be careful with the heat gun is that you don't overdo it. Make sure you either keep it on a low setting or you only use it sparingly in a silicone pan, because it can impede the curing of your resin. So I've had it happen where my resin will cure partly or just won't come out of the pan cleanly because I've used too much heat. So just be careful that you don't overdo it with that. Here I'm just taking a popsicle stick and swirling my colors together a little bit more. I wasn't getting the effect that I wanted from the heat gun alone, so I just wanted to move it along a little bit by using the popsicle stick. So you can really see those cells where the lightest blue overlaps the sand. So you can see how it is feathering out and covering that, but creating some really cool patterning. So I'm just going to keep repeating those steps, adding a little bit more resin and just swirling it around, heating it, blending things together until I am satisfied with the way that this layer looks. So it's a lot of repetition, but you can see how the piece is really changing each time I use the heat gun to kind of blow the colors around. So now I am done with that part, but I'm going to add my shell pieces. So these were from Walmart. I just got a bag of vase filler. It was crushed white shell pieces. They are in all different shapes and sizes. And I am just sprinkling them into where the sand is, and then I'm going to take a tiny bit of clear resin and put it on top of them so it looks like they are underwater. Final step for this layer is just using my heat gun one more time and popping any bubbles that may have come up when I did those last drops of clear resin, and this layer is ready to dry. So this is what it looked like after I let the first layer dry for 24 hours. So for the second layer, all I used was clear resin and then white resin. So I sped this part up just a little bit, just because it was almost unbearably slow, but all I am doing is pouring a layer of clear resin over top of the entire piece, popping the bubbles and spreading it out just to make sure it's an even layer. Once I coated the whole thing in clear resin, I went ahead and mixed a little bit of resin with Casting Craft white pigment. That is what I will use for my white lacing. So here you can see I am drizzling a little bit of that white resin on top of that clear layer. So the clear layer is still wet, and you can kind of see that that white is almost floating on top of it. So as soon as I take the heat gun to it, it spreads out and creates some really cool cells and that lacing effect. And kind of blows it across the whole piece. So you can use your heat gun to shape it, to move it around, and it'll just move on top of that clear resin, almost like something floating on water. So it's a really, really cool technique. This is one of the first times that I have used it with this Casting Craft pigment, and I am really pleased with the outcome. So that last layer was really super easy. It had some really cool results, and then the only step left is to let it cure fully. Art resin is hard to the touch after 24 hours and cures completely after 72. Each resin is a little bit different though, so make sure you check the instructions. My basement floor is not 100% level, so you can see that the white did shift up a little bit, but I'm not mad about it. I actually really like the way this turned out. I love the lacing effect, and I cannot wait to use it in more pieces. So if you follow this tutorial and you decide to try it at home, tag me in your Instagram post, your Facebook posts. I would love to see how it worked out for you. I am at SamanthasDoodles on both. Here are just a few close-ups. I couldn't resist throwing these in because I was just really happy with how it turned out, especially for being one of my very first attempts with this technique. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please check out the others on my channel. You can subscribe if you want to be notified for when I post in the future. I am also on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest as at SamanthasDoodles, so head on over and find me if you want to see more behind the scenes or more of my other art. If there is anything in particular you want to see in future videos, please leave me a comment below on this video, comment on my Instagram, send me a message, let me know what you want to see, and I will make sure to make it happen. It could be a new technique, trying out different materials, trying something that I've done previously that you want more detail on. Just let me know and I will make it happen. Thank you again so much for watching, and I will see you next time.